Will you be there when the stars align?
Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1245 of our daily content grind, and today you know what we're going to talk about. If you know this channel at all, you know how much I love Transformers Victory. We're going to be talking about the new Haslab, which is Liokaiser, and oh my god, I am so excited for this one. You know, I have been trying to will this toy into existence for years now, ever since Star Saber was a thing. This has been a popular pick for Haslab ever since Haslab reached out to Japanese G1 continuity. And it's a beautiful thing. It is an absolutely beautiful thing. Expect a glut of the Combiner War Liokaiser to hit eBay anytime now, because that one was awful. We've needed a proper replacement for a long time. We're going to get it. We're going to have to wait a year and a half to get it because it won't ship until fall 2026. But you know what? It's just nice to know it will exist at some point. So, we're going to go over all the nitty-gritty details because I love getting to talk about Transformer Victory stuff. And just off the bat, this thing looks amazing. This looks beautiful. It's solid, it's chunky, it's got all the colors hitting in all the right spots. It looks like it's doing its job so well. And I'm seeing the little things about it, the wrist articulation, the ankle tilt, all of that is great to see worked into this toy. Keep in mind, the engineering level that this has to reach is huge, which is why it is impossible to do at a retail level. You've got legs that have to actually incorporate not only the knee connection points and the ankle articulation, you also need it to work in, you also need it to have like all of the security it needs to hold up the rest of the combiner. When it comes to the arms, they have to have a dedicated elbow joint built into them that isn't going to interfere with the robot and vehicle modes. They have the integrated hands. They have connection points to connect onto the torso. And they have to do all of this while also still having the Breastmaster gimmick. That's a lot to ask. Okay? Understand, most Transformers we have at retail right now only do the one Transformer thing because that's all the budget allows. This would be astronomical to do at retail, and would probably get expensive enough to kind of justify going a little bit further for the Haslab just for the sake of getting it right. And if you say, no, this could have been done as a Titan. No. If you look at this figure and how much it's got going on, no. We know how jank the Titan combiners were. And they all have, they both had weird issues to them. But they also had an advantage in the fact that they shared so many part colors across all the different toys. Meaning that different figures could share molds. That cuts down on the cost. And that's, where a Titan is possible as a combiner. Everyone in this team is a different color. Their main color are all their own. Meaning you can't sneak, 2 or 3 toys onto the same mold like you could Predaking or Devastator. They all have to have a dedicated mold all their own for those parts, meaning a lot more molds, and those are the most expensive parts of making the toy. Hence why it has to be a Haslab. Haslab's also the only way we're going to justify a few of the things that we're going to be getting along with this toy. But that's for later. Yeah, this looks spectacular. And it does have posability, which is always good to see. I do have a few slides to kind of show off how all that works. So we're going to look at those here in a bit. Just take it in. Take it in. It's a gorgeous thing to witness, isn't it? It's absolutely lovely. Love seeing how it's coming out. Yeah, just look at it. Like, you can tell they are trying to like keep some of the toy elements in there, but yeah, it's animation accurate. Like, it's got a lot of the solid points to where it just looks like a really dead solid combiner. I'm very, very happy with how this thing looks. It looks amazing. I cannot wait to work this in. And now I'll have Victory Saber and Death Sars, and now we add Liokaiser. And it's just going to be a tiny little core class Dino King. just kind of showing up in the middle of it. Oh, it's going to be funny. Yeah, it just looks beautiful. Okay, now let's take a look at the particulars, because there's a few things in particular I wanted to know about how this combiner worked, namely elbows, because I didn't want them to do the combiner war thing of using the hips of the robot mode. Well, thankfully, no. It looks like the legs collapse in, and then from the torso area, it looks like the torso area unfolds to actually reveal a dedicated elbow and bicep joint. So that's how they work that extra arm articulation in. Great to see. Great to see them working something a little bit clever. And again, that shows us how much extra the engineering is in order to work this toy into being as good as it's going to be. So that does mean the elbows should be nice and solid. You're not going to have to worry about like ball socket hips wearing out like on the Combiner War toys. They should be able to hold up the weight of whatever you want to mount in his arms. So perfect there. The other one was waist articulation, because all the prototype shots and all of the digital samples I saw did not show him actually rotating at the waist. Well, fortunately, we can see right there he does have a waist joint. It's sitting below the waist connection. We do know that the hips on this figure are a faux part. That's the only part forming they do. Evan actually spoke at the panel at MegaCon saying that it is important to them to make sure as much it was integrated as possible, but obviously the hips are the things that I always worried about with Liokaiser's engineering, so they decided to just cheat on that and make that an additional part, and then everything else is integrated, right down, including Liokaiser's helmet, which on the original toy, that was the only piece that was separate. Everything else was integrated. So cool to see that they thought about it, and obviously like to get a working set of hips for a combiner into like a deluxe or Voyager size toy and still expected to do all of the breast force things. That's asking too much of engineering. That absolutely would not be possible at a retail price point. Unless everyone's willing to spend $55 for a leader class Jaruga. So, that out of the way, let's see comparison shot to the previous Liokaiser. He's so much bigger. He's so much bigger and he's beefier. He looks so much heavier than the original, than the previous toy. Lovely to see. Lovely to see. This thing does stand over 12 inches tall. He is a tall, tall boy. He's actually going to stand relatively the same size as Devastator. Devastator's going to have a little bit of height on him, but keep in mind, looks like Liokaiser is using all large-size deluxes, whereas we are getting Voyagers with Devastator. So the size is probably about accurate, I would say. I mean, obviously, if this was Victory accurate, then Liokaiser would be gigantic, all on his own. But you know what? We'll take it. It still looks like it's going to be a really, really large figure, which is really good to see. I just want to point out, it's so nice to see the grayscale proto, because that shows off so much more sculpted detail. It's lovely to see just how much got worked into this toy. All right, let's take a look at the individual members now. And we're starting off with Liokaiser, the leader, who looks really, really nice. My only concern with him is the size of the head. In some of the shots, they didn't have like individual robots there, just like the super early prototypes that aren't even fully sculpted yet. But for Liokaiser and for all the members, they had these little acrylic standees to kind of represent what they looked like. And in that shot, the head doesn't look as bad, but at this angle, the head does look very, very tiny. Now, keep in mind, Liokaiser's helmet does have to fit over top, so that's probably what's caused it. But it is still kind of laughably small, which is the only thing I would take against him. I do really like Liokaiser, and I'm really looking forward to him having a proper figure, because that's one of the ones that got completely skipped in Combiner Wars. There was no Liokaiser in Combiner Wars, even though there was a Liokaiser, and that feels wrong to me. Jet mode looks good. We're going to be getting simplified, like combiner style alt modes out of the jets. That does not surprise me in the least. Yes, his robot mode's just kind of hanging out underneath his wings and cockpit. I'm not going to begrudge that, because frankly, the original Liokaiser were pretty simple toys, so I'm not really going to argue it being simple here. Given how much these have to do, I'm going to be very, very generous with things like this. There are going to be a few nitpicks, obviously. This is not a perfect piece. But for something that Hasbro can produce, I do think it is looking really, really good. There is the Lion Breast Force, member. You'll excuse me if I continued to use the original terminology for this. It's just ingrained in my brain. I'm never going to call him the Chest Force. It does sound better than Breast Force. It really does. But that's just not what it was originally called. So I'm going to call it what I adapted, which was the original cartoon subtitled. So there. We move on to Guy Hawk, and Guy Hawk is looking better. His proportions don't look as odd as Leozax. The one thing to point out here on this particular figure is the fact that on the Jet figures, they've kind of switched the orientation of the Breastmasters. You'll notice the peg sticking out as like an Audi belly button of sorts on this toy. That was not in the original figure. I don't know why they made that switch, but it's something to be aware of. Other than that, yeah, Guy Hawk just looks really, really nice. He has this vibe of like Earth mode Terrorsaur, and I'm kind of into that. Jet mode does look good. Actually looks better than Leozax. Of course, Leozax has, well, I was going to say has a lot more to accomplish since he's got to be the torso of the combiner. But this one's, we talked about this, like Leozax, like the arms do have a whole lot of engineering they have to go through. So cool to see. Cool to see. Like I said, it's going to be a simplified Jet, but that's not a surprise to us. We should know this. We own aerial bots. We know how this works. And there is the Hawk. Hawk looking pretty good. Yeah, they do have their handles, so obviously these also have weapon modes. Hasbro didn't show them off per se, but we do know that they are there. So we'll wait. I'm sure that's something they're going to show off at a later date. Hellbat. Oh no, I'm sorry. Elbat. Like he's Spanish or something. El Vato. No, I kind of figured the one that has Hell in the title would get censored, but I thought they would go with Fellbat, which was the Combiner War name, and honestly, doesn't sound like too bad of a name as a quick little replacement for a light profanity. Elbat is super weird. I don't... That feels like the copyright was very, like it feels like they were very, very quick to like correct something. I want to say, now granted, I had just woken up when I had seen the news, but I want to say the first time they showed off that like shot of all six and Liokaiser in the middle, the little graphic thing they did, I want to say it had Hellbat written down, but it was Elbat everywhere they were talking or describing the toy. Could be wrong about that, like I said, very early in the morning, but it feels like a very quick switch and fix that no one really thought about. Again, Jet mode looks fine. Him and Guy Hawk are going to be extremely similar to each other since they are both doing essentially the same job. It is a different model of Jet, though, which is kind of cool to see. Gives them a little bit of uniqueness across both toys. There is the Bat partner. You can kind of see the gun kibble around the back side, and I can see the handle that's supposed to fold down. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Like, I know why, because they want you to keep checking back for updates and new shots and new things. But like, yeah, I do really wish they showed off the gun modes for the Breastmasters. I want to see that they're the Breast Force members. I want to see all of the possible things this thing can do, because it is a ridiculous amount that this thing can do. Jaruga was one of the ones I was worried about because he had to be the pelvis of the original toy. And as we stated before, that is a very, very difficult position to be in. There's a lot that could go wrong, and it's a lot of engineering to work into something that also has to be an independent transformer. The solution they've come up with basically takes most of that out of the equation. Jaruga looks completely normal here. He looks like a completely normal Decepticon toy. He's looking a little crasher, if I can be honest with you. And the vehicle mode looks fine. It looks cool. It's that off-road racer with a little bit of a missile rack in the back. That's kind of what we expect out of Jaruga. So it is very, very cool to see. Now, if he is not the midsection, if he's not the pelvis, where does the pelvis go when everybody is done? It goes on to him. So the idea is that it's supposed to form a larger spoiler weapon in the back, which does take it closer to how the original toy looked, because it did have like a very large, like a weapon, platform look on the back of Jaruga. Maybe not this large though. This is considerably huge. And it doesn't look like the thighs transform at all. It literally looks like he's just lugging it around, as if you tried to buy a piece of furniture off of Facebook Marketplace, got there and realized, this isn't going to fit in my truck. This is going to fit in my car. All right, open up the trunk. Just duct tape it in as much as we can. But it's going to be weird in a few parts here. Modern combiners generally are. If you're wondering how much of the combiner that Jaruga actually makes up, that's it. That's about it. Most of it just kind of folds up and sticks on the back. I'm not totally against that. It does shore up the combination a little bit between the midsection and the torso. And that's a good thing for me, because I saw the side image and I saw how much of a gap there is between the two at the waist point. That is a little bit concerning. I'm making everyone aware of it, though I don't think Hasbro would have done it this way if it was flimsy. So we'll wait and see. Like I said, the fact that Jaruga folds up and basically becomes the back of Liokaiser is going to shore up that connection considerably. So it should be like at the waist joint and at the back, it's both going to be pegged in. So that'll hold it pretty well. Also, if you're just kind of wondering how Jaruga feels about this, that's him just hanging out in the back. That's just him hanging out in the back. I assume you at the very least turn his head around in order to hide that. I really wish they had done a little bit more with this. This feels like they could have done that better. Maybe if like the front end of the car could fold down so it wasn't floating behind Liokaiser's head. And that way it would cover up the head of Jaruga a little bit. And, then it would be a little bit more solid looking. They went with this. I don't know why. It's funny. I expect when this toy gets in hand, this is going to be the meme. I don't even expect to wait that long. I think you're going to meme this image. I think because it's just him hanging out in the back. We knew there's going to be sacrifices. We knew it was going to get weird on Jaruga. I don't think we expected this. Oh yeah, and yeah, he has his chess partner too. Okay, so things get weird when we get down to the Lega boys. So here's Kill Bison. And honestly, like, he definitely has a bunch of junk kibble hanging off of him in order to form that tank mode. Now, granted, in the original cartoon, he is very bulky around those parts. He does carry a lot of extra tank junk around, in particular the legs. Like, this is accurate to how the original toy was. Like, just big hunks of tank hanging off the side of the leg. And the animation back then did try to make it match that. So no real surprise that he comes up like this. I'll take it for what it is. There is something about him that is very concerning to me, but it will be easier to show you on Drill Horn. So for now, we're going to skip over that. I'm going to point out that on the acrylic standee version, in the right pose, he looks a lot better. Like, that looks nicer. That looks closer to his animation proportions. So it might just be a position situation. You might be able to angle him better to the point where it just feels a lot more normal. So fingers crossed that that's the case, because that one did kind of look ugly. Speaking of ugly, Hasbro, what are you doing? What are you doing? We've come so close to fall short now. Like, I understand there's a lot going on in the foot because there has to be an ankle tilt built into that section, but you couldn't give him something? Like, something that kind of makes him look like a proper tank? Like, some kind of slope or angle? Even if it's something that's like kibble that I have to attach and detach. It could be one of those dumb shield things that I hate so much when they pull as an excuse. But this is literally just a block with a double gun on the top of it. It's just an ugly block. Yeah, unfortunately, when this set comes out, Kill Bison's going to get like the bulk of the flack in this figure because it's just not a clean look. I mean, I'll show you the original just so we can kind of confirm. Like, yeah, like he has these giant hunks of tank hanging off the sides of his arms and legs. But even then, you gave them a little bit of a slope in the vehicle mode. I don't even mean like an upward one like a tank, that downward one, just so I can tell like that's the front of a tank. Or just to make the turret. Like, it doesn't even have a proper turret. It's just the gun sticking up like that. Yeah, this feels sloppy. I'm not gonna lie, I really do like this set. I've already got my order in. I was in the first 100. Of course I was. It's victory. But this, when everything else is looking really good, I don't know why you resorted to this. His bull friend looks fine. Again, wish I saw the gun mode so I had more to talk about. We can move on to Drillhorn here, and Drillhorn looking way better. Like, he carries his kibble a lot nicer. He's got the big fat legs the same way, because that's really the only way you can do it. That's toy accurate, that's animation accurate. No, what I noticed about the Tank Boys came from this photo. And I want you to look at the shoulders for me and notice that, yeah, the shoulders have this weird floaty stem on them. So the shoulder is jointed in the middle of the torso. It's on a stem that reaches up to the top of the shoulder, and at the top of the shoulder is just a hinge. It's not a universal joint or a ball joint. It's just a hinge, meaning in order to move his arm forward, you have to rotate it, and the axis is in the middle of his torso, meaning that when his shoulder should be up here, when it's moved forward, it's going to be down here somewhere. And in photos, they can hide that. But when you're messing with it yourself and trying to pose it, this is going to feel and look horrible. This is just going to look real ugly. I have no idea why Hasbro engineered it this way. Like, honestly, there's probably some reason. There's probably something in the engineering to go like, oh yeah, this is why we had to do this. But you have to explain that to me. Like, seriously, like, Hasbro's going to be fielding questions about this thing for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Someone ask, why do the shoulders on the Tank Boys look so bad? Why do they look so limited? Like, this is the only part of the toy that really frustrates me. I will take Jaruga mostly being there just to fill a gap. I will accept, like, Leozak just kind of hanging out underneath his jet kibble. That should be better. Because that don't look good. That don't look good at all. And, like everything else about Drillhorn here looks really nice. Like, here's the tank mode. The tank mode came out way better than Kill Bison. So, what happened? What happened? Like, what in the engineering made that the requirement? I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. I want to understand it. I want to get it. Someone at Hasbro, please tell me why the shoulders had to be that way. And please tell me that we have time to do something about it, because it genuinely looks like it's going to be something that's real bad. And again, yeah, he has a little rhino guy. Now, that grievance out of the way, let us get into the stretch goal stuff, because the stretch goal stuff is exciting. I was so hoping, but there was no precedent to actually say they would actually do this. But the Mad Lads are actually doing it. The first stretch goal is Death Cobra. This is smart on Hasbro's part, because if they did not include Death Cobra, they would have invited a headache from fans for years to come. This is the one and only way Death Cobra would ever get a toy of his own. I'm thrilled that he got it. I love the look and design of the character. I was really, really eager for this. I remember when these pictures first came out, again, something weird that they're doing is like not showing off everything this toy could do. The original photos that popped up this morning did not include Death Cobra's robot mode. So a lot of people originally thought, oh, it's just a helicopter that sticks on as a cannon on the shoulder. It doesn't have a robot mode. Like, it looks like it does. I see hinges. I see pins. I am thrilled. that we actually have a Death Cobra that's going to exist. Oh, and I have no doubt, because this is the first unlocked tier, they know people are going to unlock it. They know this is going to be a thing. So really, really cool to see. Jet mode is looking a little chunky. Jet mode is looking a little bit chunky. That helicopter is toting some crate. Some kind of freight shipment going on here. I will accept it for what we get out of it, and I'll show you that in a bit. But I'll show you that his partner is a little Cobra boy. Apparently, this is similar to a third-party headmaster, because I heard someone on my Discord saying, like, oh, people are already accusing this toy of ripping off third-party designs and ideas. I'm like, gee, really? You're now upset over somebody else's designs being stolen for the sake of making a toy? This is why I don't like the third-party scene sometimes. But here's the truth is, it's like that design right there is based on an unreleased G1 headmaster that Takara came up with first. If anything, it's based on the Battle Master that came out years ago around Siege. No, not buying that excuse. It's just a cute little Cobra boy, and it turns into a gun. And speaking of turning into a gun, that is what they came up with. If you want all 7 combined, your Death Cobra can become a giant shoulder cannon for Liokaiser. It's a little tacked on, but you know what? I'll accept it, because I am a Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad fan. And to have the Formo armor with the big dragon design and all that, then like it's like the big weapon is the whole dragon jet that turns into a massive cannon that sits on the shoulder just like that. Yeah, I've already accepted that this can be a thing, so I'm going to accept this one too. But that said, he can do the thing. He can actually form an arm, and that's why he has all that extra bulk underneath the helicopter mode. He can form a full arm for Liokaiser, built-in hand and everything. I do wish that tail could fold up a little bit, just like double hinge it, so the silhouette can match up the other side a little bit better. One of the things I love about Liokaiser is the fact that he has this nice symmetric silhouette, which is kind of rare for a combiner. That throws it off a little bit, but as a bonus, oh my god, I'm so thrilled he can do so much. Again, stuff you would ask at retail price, no, this won't happen. The toys have too much to do. Yeah, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. This alone makes me so excited for this set. So excited. Number 2 stretch goal is what I found out recently was called the electromagnetic nunchaku. This is used by all members of the team, and then Liokaiser has his own that's made up of, I think, all of them. So the cool thing here is it looks entirely modular. So you see those spear tips that are just hanging off? It looks like the chains are also modular pieces that can be removed, so you can just have 6 individual spears for your Breast Force characters. As you see here, Leozak, still with a tiny looking head, is capable of just using a single one as a spear weapon. I think all of them can do that. And then Liokaiser can have the big combined nunchaku version that he's seen using in the anime. Really cool stuff. Really cool of them to include that. And it's a really neat way of doing it with all the modular bits. That's fun. Like, you actually might be able to come up with your own weaponry with that. 3D modelers. You might have a field day with coming up with different things Liokaiser can have attached to his nunchaku. And then the most boring one, we kind of figured the last one to be a stand. All of them are include a stand of some kind. My only upset about this one is because the stand is very generic. It's not true to the character, though I don't know what you would do with the character. It just kind of looks like plain old everyday stand that just happens to fit one character. It might fit the other combiners. I think someone mentioned something about that. And you can see where it is modular. That stem can attach to any one of those 6 points for whatever you need the stand to hold up. What would have been neat, what I would have been preferred is a stand that could have acted like a flight stand for the aerial members of the team. So that way you could actually show like the 3 on the road and the 3 or 4 in the air at the same time. That would have looked neat if you wanted to display the individual team all together. But no, it's just gonna support your Liokaiser. And for some reason, my final slide that shows that does not come up, which is fine because this video's already gone quite long, and it's really just Liokaiser standing on a purple platform. So you can imagine that. You can go check out TFW's coverage of it. They have a ton more photos of the prototype. There's also more official photos out there. As a reminder to everybody who does not know the Haslab thing by now, it is marketed as a crowdfunded thing, but the reality is it's made to order. So you have 45 days to make your pre-order, and you will not be charged until those 45 days are up. So if you know you're going to be good for the money, then don't be scared of putting in your order now. And I'm going to suggest that you put your order in now, because with these toys, they never go to retail. Haslab is made to order. Once the pre-order is closed, that is it. We should all know this by now, but I know some don't. It always catches some people off guard going, but it made the funding goal. I thought that meant I'd find it at Walmart. Not how it works. Not how it works. So, if you want it, go back it. You got a month and a half. It absolutely looks like it's going to be worth the price. The price is $300. That is high. But like, honestly, again, you're looking at 6 toys, 7 toys, because we're definitely getting Death Cobra, that really can't be done at retail level. And this is going to be the best they could ever do to do a modern Liokaiser, unless Masterpiece suddenly breaks out something crazy in a few years, but probably not going to be likely. If they are willing to do this toy right now, then it's likely that Masterpiece is not going to touch this for a long, long time. So this is going to be our Liokaiser. And you know what? I have some grievances. I do think there's elements of it that should have been done better. But on the whole, I think it does a ton. I think it overall looks really, really good. Looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to mess with. And I'm a sucker for victory, so I'm on board. So, that is my look at Liokaiser. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you've learned something from my insights and observations. Obviously, there's going to be more as more photos and more coverage comes out, especially once the panel from MegaCon gets online and we get to hear Evan's own words about the toy. Then we will learn a little bit more. Until then, there is a lot more that came out of MegaCon. We're going to be talking about it tomorrow because there's just way too much about Liokaiser to talk about today. So thank you everyone for watching. I will see you next time.
The day is getting closer. My journey is almost over. And when it is, our journey begins. The question is, when the stars align, will you be there?